She was very outgoing. She loved people. She loved to laugh. She made everyone feel comfortable. She loved her children. She worked really hard. She had core convictions and values.
The crime that has affected your family so much.
3/4 of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face bashed in. Her beautiful face.
Welcome to No Border, No Country. Anyone who follows the immigration issue has probably heard of Rachel Morin as the young mother of 5 who was on a running trail in Maryland 2 years ago, was brutally attacked and lost her life as a result of that. Her mother is here with us today. Patty Morin, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Brian.
So there's been a fair amount of coverage of how Rachel lost her life, but can you tell us a little bit about who she was and her life rather than how it ended?
Sure. Rachel was about 5 feet, 2 inches tall. So she was a tiny, maybe 100-pound woman. But for her small stature, she was probably the biggest person when she walked into a room. She was very outgoing. She loved people. She loved to laugh. She made everyone feel comfortable. She loved her children. She worked really hard. She had core convictions and values that she stuck to. She was a really amazing woman.
We talk to a lot of angel parents here, and I've noticed that they react very differently to what's happened in their lives, and some of them are very much reserved and quiet. You've chosen to come out. You were on the Hannity show on Fox. You went to the White House earlier this year at the press room. What has motivated you to speak out like this?
2 things. One, when you feel pain, you need an outlet. If you keep it inside, somehow it's going to destroy you. So it was an opportunity for me to pour out my pain, but also so Americans can see that the pain is real, that this illegal immigrant crimes that are happening across our nation is a very real issue, and that it does affect the common person, small towns, larger communities, and states. They need to see that this is something that hits every person, no matter where you live in America. And also because I wasn't there to protect my daughter or a mom, it's in us. We want to save our children. We want to protect them and keep them from being hurt. And I wasn't there to be able to do that. So this is my way of protecting Rachel by sharing her story. So maybe I could protect another young lady or a child from the same kind of crime that she endured.
Around the time you appeared at the White House, the news was full of stories about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and I'm sure you're very familiar with that story. Your senator, Chris Van Hollen, made a photo op trip to El Salvador to meet with him, and you know all of that. What do you make of this portrayal we see in the media all the time of illegal aliens who have broken our laws, many times our criminal laws, and they get this very particular favorable treatment in the media? How does that strike you when you see that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because the legacy media is funded by left extremists in our country and by the DNC through their affiliate organizations. So it doesn't surprise me that they want to control the narrative. And it doesn't surprise me that the language that they use is to incite fear in the American people. Like somehow American people, we're going to lose our rights. So they want to incite fear. And they want to control basically people's emotions and get people to react rather than responding to what's really true. Instead of responding to truth and giving people facts so that they can make an intelligent decision on their own. So it doesn't surprise me. And honestly, it's very sad that they would choose to pick criminals to defend and have as their poster child, so to speak, than to actually care about the constituents in their states that have suffered loss because of their laws that they have passed, these sanctuary laws that they have passed that have caused so much harm to Americans.
After he returned from El Salvador, I saw Van Hollen on a cable news interview, and the interviewer basically guilted him into acknowledging your daughter's case. And then he gave these kind of required words about how he felt terrible about it. Has he ever reached out to you since then?
No, nope, he has never. The only acknowledgement was on a news media channel, and it was, like you said, he was guilted into it. He didn't want to acknowledge that my daughter's death was because of illegal immigration, because then that means that the legislators in the state of Maryland are responsible for these illegal immigrants and the crimes that they commit. And then even broader, the Biden administration. So in order for them to acknowledge means they also have to admit that they were wrong, and they're not going to do that.
Now, President Trump has spoken to you on, I believe, 2 occasions. He gave you a call, and then when you were at the White House, you went to the Oval Office. Was that correct?
Yeah, it's actually been several times.
Several. Okay. What have your discussions with him been like, if you can talk about it?
They are very, it's like a friendship. He's like, I would say grandfather, but I'm almost his age. So probably not grandfather, but he's a very kind, despite his toughness, which is very much appreciated because we need a strong leader. He's also very kind, and he's very moved by the pain of the American citizen. And he wants to do what he can to help and to prevent this pain. Like it bothers him to see people in pain. And so the conversations that we've had are, he's himself. He's very open and blunt, but at the same time, he's very kind and gentle with his words. And he's just a very kind man. He comes across as someone that genuinely cares for me personally, but also the American citizen in his country.
So this person who was convicted of the crime that has affected your family so much, he entered the country for the last time illegally in early 2023. He had attempted it twice previous, and he was
3 times previous.
I'm sorry, 3 previous. Okay. And he was seen on a home video camera participating in a home invasion in California. Mm-hmm. So this was never a nice guy from what all indications are. How much responsibility for what happened here do you place on the Biden immigration policies, being as he came in during those policies in effect? Granted that every individual is responsible for their own actions, but how much responsibility do you feel those policies had?
I place all the blame on the Biden administration and those that were in a position where they could have stopped it, or they could have closed the borders, or they could have vetted these individuals that came in. He attempted 3 times at the border and was turned back. The 4th time he was a got-away. He ended up going to a different point of entry in Texas. And that's how he was able to come into America. And he was fleeing from El Salvador because he's accused of murdering a woman in El Salvador. So he flees El Salvador, attempts several times, and then the fourth time he's able to sneak in as a getaway. He travels to Los Angeles, attacks a 9-year-old girl and her mother, and then he's able to go from the West Coast, Los Angeles, California, all the way to the East Coast to Maryland, where he attacked and murdered my daughter. So Biden administration and their policies allowed them to enter the country, allowed them to freely travel throughout the country, and then allowed them to commit crimes. And like Los Angeles, it's a sanctuary city. I don't think they've yet to do anything about the crimes that he's committed in Los Angeles. And so these immigrants are traveling to where they know they're sanctuary cities because they know that they can commit crimes and nothing's going to be done about it. It's like a slap on the hand. Don't do that. And then they let you go again. And then they're free to commit crime again. And because he's traveled in March 2023 from Los Angeles to the murder in August of 2023, who's to say that he hasn't committed other crimes in the meantime that we don't know of?
Right.
So this is a very, very, I don't even know what the right word to say, like egregious, like it's a terrible thing that Biden has done, and it has cost so many American lives, so many.
So I'm glad you mentioned the sanctuary cities. Last week, we examined the congressional testimony of these 3 sanctuary governors, and I personally found it sickening the way they were bobbing and weaving and evading responsibility for the crimes that were being put in their face, basically. What's your reaction when you see these sanctuary mayors who claim to be full of compassion for victims of crimes, but yet do almost everything in their power to enable them to happen?
Yeah, I think that these governors and these mayors, their language is like a forked tongue. You know, they take the words that they think people want to hear, but then they actually flip it to protect themselves. They make themselves sound like they are, you know, the good guys, the compassionate people, but yet by their very words and actions, they're causing the problem. So it's just another way of deflecting, denying, not taking responsibility for their actions. And then I also believe that a lot of these, just my personal opinion, a lot of these folks somehow are getting kickbacks from somewhere, because when you have organized crime freely running throughout your country, somebody's getting paid somewhere to allow this to happen. So that's just my opinion. And I think these sanctuary cities, I honestly think that these people are in bed with the cartels and criminals. But again, that's just my opinion.
So this issue of illegal immigration has become so polarizing in this country. We see people who you can present them with any facts and they will not change their position. But yet I come across a lot of people, and I'm sure you do too, who are kind of on the fence. They're in the middle. They see the logic of the things we're talking about, but yet they follow the news and believe what they hear on there about all these compassion arguments and such. What would you say to that middle area people, the people who are open-minded about it, but are not really sure where to fall on this issue? What would you say to those people?
I would say that they are actually good people. Good in the sense that they genuinely want to be fair. They genuinely are compassionate towards their fellow man. And they want to make sure that when they hear information, is it really true or not? And because there's so much decisive, I don't know if that's the correct word, but anyways, because it's so divided that sometimes they're not sure if the information on one side or the other is correct. And so I encourage them to go to the government website and to listen to the hearings where you have the information coming straight from the people that are involved, whether it's the governors, the mayors, senators. Listen to what they have to say and then ask yourself, is that what I want for my family? And yes, we can be compassionate, but the reason why we have laws in our country is so we don't have lawlessness and we don't have chaos. And if we as Americans are obligated to obey the laws of this country, those that are coming into our country should recognize it's a privilege to be here and that they should be obeying these same laws, which means coming in a legal way, not illegal, which I do understand that there are many immigrants that have come in looking for a better life and duped by the lies of the Biden administration, where they said, come one, come all, we're not going to close the border, we're not turning anybody away. So there are some good people that have come in, but they still did it illegally. And a lot of those people have already deported themselves and are going through the process to come in correctly. But with that said, there are a lot of bad actors that came in, and those are the people that President Trump wants to remove from the country because that's the security risk and that we have for the American citizen, but also for our sovereignty as a country. And so I would encourage these people, listen to what's being said at these hearings and not so much the news, because news doesn't report facts anymore. They report opinions. And you can't base a logical decision on someone's opinion. You need the facts.
Amen. Is there anything you want to promote? Is there any thing you want people to go to learn more? Anything at all?
Thank you for asking.
Sure.
I don't usually promote myself, but I do have a Twitter account that is up and running. And so I post information about some of the events that I participate in, and then also my opinion on things. But I'm just one person. And like I said, it's an opinion. So people are welcome to go check that out. I would encourage people to consider the northern border and how that the cartels have shifted from the southern to the northern border. And that we need to make sure that we secure the northern border. I think that's very important. And that we do something about these sanctuary cities that are fueling all these crimes. But then also it's the sanctuary cities where the DNC and its affiliates are paying for all these rioters. And, somebody that, if you have money, people with money are moving out of these cities. But then there's a whole population of people that can't afford to move. And they're suffering because of this, these riots and these sanctuary city policies.
What is your handle on X if people want to check that out?
It's just at Patty Morin.
Okay.
You'll see my face.
Patty Morin, I want to thank you so much for taking this time today, and just be assured that millions of Americans are going to keep your daughter's memory alive. And that's because of your courage to come out like this and talk about it.
Thank you. It's really very important. I am not a politician. I'm not even a spokesperson. I'm truly just a mom, but I really want lives to be saved. And I really want people to be informed with truth, not opinion, truth, because that's the most important thing, I really believe.
Thank you so much. And please come again. We'd love to talk to you again in the future.
Sure.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Congratulations. You made it to the end of the podcast. If you liked what you heard, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and you can also hear this podcast on any of the other places where you get your podcasts. If you'd like to learn more about the Immigration Reform Law Institute, go to irli.org. Thanks a lot.